Hey there, self-care warriors. Today, as promised, I'm going to be sharing some excerpts from my new poetry book, which is out on pre-order now. You can click on the link in the description below. In order to pre-order the book, it's available in both print and ebook editions. And so I'm just going to share some poems that I've written that might resonate with you and your experience. Of course, it's written from the female perspective, so the person that it might be referring to may be a male figure, but I did not intend it to say that. Females also can't be, toxic as well. It's mostly just written from my point of view, and so that's why you may see more of a male figure featured than a female one. But I hope you enjoy it. So I'm going to share with you a poem called Rapunzel, and actually the poetry collection is called She Who Destroys the Light, Fairy Tales Gone Wrong, and I want to explain a little bit about how I came up with that title. When I was in high school, I won a citywide poetry contest, and it was with a poem called She Who Destroys the Light. And it was the literal meaning of the name Persephone. I had some sort of obsession back in the day with mythological figures, and I really resonated with the idea of Persephone and Hades and the underworld and things like that. So I had written a poem which is actually featured in this collection that won that contest, and it was called She Who Destroys the Light. And the second part of the title, which is Fairy Tales Gone Wrong, is related to the themes and the titles of the poems themselves. So as you read through the collection, you'll realize that there's going to be a few poems that are titled with traditional fairy tale names, but the content of the poetry basically presents a little bit more realistic, maybe warped version of that fairy tale. So without giving too much away, here is the poem Rapunzel. Rapunzel. Gentle, fiery, weary from the battles, you are the mad surgeon picking at her wounds, nursing them no more, turning and twisting her truth to feed her falsehood. Like Rapunzel, she can spin your hatred into gold, your put-downs into her power, your ugly words into her incentive, and your sabotage into her success. You will soon learn to never underestimate a woman who has a track record of proving her enemies wrong. And then I'm going to share with you another poem, and it's called Prince Charming. Prince Charming. I became accustomed to the cruelty and the raging storms, the silent glare followed by the teasing eyes, the sweet nothings and the callous words, bruising the soul and battering the mind, carefully evaluating how far I could go. I recoiled in the hard grip of his hands, delicately tying my stomach into knots, like a tailor making me a dress that would beautifully hug my thighs and squeeze my throat at the same time. I crawled into the chambers of my own heart and made a cage, fenced myself in, scribbled a message on the edges of the walls, stop here and never again, only to sleep beneath the clouds at night, wake up to the thunder and taste the rain on his lips. This is another poem called Bluebeard, and I don't know if you're familiar with the fairy tale of Bluebeard, but if you're not, you can just Google it and there's going to be a backstory. And the poem is called Bluebeard. He weaves his painful words into her skin like kryptonite, always with a smirk and knowing eyes, a smug sadism knitted into the arch of his brow, his lips sewn into a scarecrow smile. This one is called Let Down Your Hair. Your hair. Your words like thin air floated above me as I struggled to pull them down to where they belonged, pleading for gravity. The dirt awaited them, but they crawled into my ears and into my head, refused to leave and signed a new lease, repeating themselves over and over again. When cruel words were foreplay, your touch like dry ice burned the roof of my mouth so that I can no longer speak. My voice shaken, I waited for your words to dissipate like rain, only to have them cling to my skin. The droplets made a form-fitting dress, pierced every inch of my body until I couldn't remember life before, or life after, or even life in between. Just your words with the half-life of an atom and the shelf-life of a disease, looking for a cure while you searched for a new host. This one is called Leave. Leave the man who uses your dreams as doormats, wiping his feet as he comes and goes. Leave the man who sucks you dry so he can feel what it is like to have a shadow of warmth inside of him. Your spirit pulsating like blood beneath his flesh, telling you to have thicker skin. Leave the man who uses your body as shelter but not a home, who uses his words as stones and his silence like sticks to bruise your broken bones. The man who breaks your wings and uses them as crutches just so he can learn to fly. The man with two masks. I sold my heartbeats for a lived-in cage, a second-hand soul, and a man I had never met. I met his doppelganger, shook his hand and met his lips, merged his name with mine until I met the second man who I pretended did not exist. He stole my kisses and my laughter, became a thief for my pride. Year upon year went by where one man would appear and the other disappeared, one with a smile and the other with a glint in his eye. My heart hung heavy and my mind deep dived, head first cutting the cord between the two, pretending that I never knew. I reasoned that the second man was nothing like the first, though they looked the same, swallowed my lies in tiny cups until they both drowned me, Annabel Lee in her tomb by the sounding sea. Ever after. A father that does not love his daughter sets her up for a life of pain. The heartache with no name lasts forever, because it is never a heartache. It is just a dull, empty ache, a void where fairy tales end and monsters begin. Thank you so much for listening. I will be sharing more excerpts moving forward. The pre-order links are in the description box below, and if you pre-order within the next few days, you should be able to get a signed copy. There's a limited number of signed copies available right now of the poetry book. So I encourage you to get the signed paperback copies, or if you'd like the ebook version, there is a PDF available for pre-order, and there will be an iBook release next week, and I will be adding that link next week when that comes out. So I look forward to sharing more of these poems with you. I hope that they've been validating to you, and I hope that they've resonated with you in a way that is healing, that is encouraging, and that reminds you that you are not alone. So until next time, take care, self-care warriors, and I'll talk to you very soon.